and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known throughout the United States for the last 30 years. I am officially a senior, dealing with money issues with the goal in mind, as you know, as my viewers, of educating and empowering you and your family so that you can begin to make sound financial decisions. In America, sadly, how does one get access to information? It's tough unless you're wealthy and you have a crew of advisors with varying opinions. But the average working person, including you middle class persons, know it's tough to get objective information. So I have enjoyed tremendous support over the years, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your continued support and listenership and viewership. Today is no exception. I've got a panel of experts today, realtors. Those are the networking kings and queens of America. They know everybody because America runs on real estate. That's an asset. And so today I've got three people that are joining me on set. Two of them are specialists through designation, SRES, senior, make sure I get that designation right, SRES, I'll have them speak on that. And another is just a senior who's been involved for a long, long time in working with other seniors and the population at large. Why is this so important? Because who you choose and pick to handle your listings and who you choose to retain to help you to find that perfect home is critical today. And like I said, over the years, it's not who you know, it's what you know. So without a lot of further ado and conversation, I'm going to introduce my guests who will be a part of my world and yours for the next hour. I have to my very close right, Art Reed. Cameras, if you'll get him. Yes, Art Reed is known as the Godfather of real estate. And with good reason, he brings over how many years? 30, 40?
45 years.
45 years.
And I know I was only 4 years old when I got in the business.
Well, it sounds like that, Art.
Okay.
It really does. 45 years and is an SRES and one of the early.
Designee number 97.
My goodness, that's impressive. We have directly across from me Jeff Cook, who in this group is probably the youngest member, and he is also an SRES, and he has chosen to focus on that emerging market. And to his left is Gloria Cook, his mother, and she has been involved. How long have you been involved in real estate?
Since 1986.
My gosh, long, long time.
Not as long as Art, but
Close.
a long time.
A long time.
You didn't have to say that. Okay.
So we are going to be opening up by just giving, I want each of you to feel comfortable chiming in and just having a conversation about this whole area of real estate. What made you, known as the Godfather of real estate, get into this industry to begin with?
Well, I never planned on being in the business that long. It was the easiest thing to do. My dad was a real estate broker in Tempe, Arizona.
My goodness.
So I grew up in the business. I've been around it since 1959. And my first job in real estate was cleaning his office.
Cleaning your dad's
Then I
office.
saw the big bucks that we can make.
Oh, God. You're being funny. What about you, Gloria? Because you bring time in as well.
Well, I was trained as an art teacher and was waiting for a position to open up. And, excuse me, and I grew up with houses. My father was a custom home builder, and my brother's an architect and a home builder. And we would be on family vacations, and we would be in a totally different state, and we would be going through model homes instead of going through something historical. And so Jeff ended up, when I was first in the business, helping deliver 150 pumpkins one year. So he has really, he's rooted in this.
We were the only
industry
kids
as
in the
well.
neighborhood that didn't like Halloween.
Well, let's talk about your journey, having come out of a
Yep.
tradition of your mother and her family.
Yep. Like she said, we were helping her out when she first got started, and I knew a lot about the business, but I had moved around quite a bit after college and settled in Florida, where I did financing mortgages for 10 years.
That's
Worked with a lot of seniors down there, being Florida,
Florida.
and all the retirees. And I moved back I grew up in Cincinnati, however, I moved back about 4 years ago.
Okay.
My father had gotten ill and passed,
Okay,
so
okay.
moved back and got mom's, some of her, lingering affairs in order, and was like, all right, well, I'm in Cincinnati now, and I know mortgages, and she's like, I still have a nice clientele group, and we decided to work together. So,
oh, that's so beautiful,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
That's what family really
So,
is about. You know that.
Yeah, and she has the experience, and I can bring the technology side of things that I'm used to working with, and it's really been a good mix.
Well, let me ask the open question, and that is that what makes this growing demographic, baby boomers and older Americans, so different from other groups? You feel free to chime in.
Well, when I first started in the business, I had a lot of young people who were happy to buy a house that needed some renovation and were ready to get sweat equity into it. And I have seen that change over the years, because young couples are both working. They don't have the time for that. They want the perfect house, or almost perfect house now.
Okay.
What I have seen as the demographic has changed is I'll go into a listing appointment, and maybe a younger realtor will have been there and said, oh, you need to change the carpet, you need to do this, you need to do that. Now, I'm all for staging, and because people buy what they see, but I hate to see people invest $10, $15, $20,000 into putting a new kitchen in for somebody. Make it the best you can, and so by decluttering and getting things in order, and I'm good with colors and decorating, and so we can do a lot to help people get their house ready and on the market without spending a lot of dollars.
Is that something you encounter with seniors? Because many times they haven't changed appliances.
Yes.
And haven't done the upgrading that is necessary to make a house appealing.
Oh, I've seen some carpeting and some refrigerators that are avocado green that are in absolutely perfect condition.
I bet they are.
And my solution has been to have them electrostatically painted.
Excellent.
Carpet you can't do anything about.
No,
but,
you can't.
But you would be surprised how many of these older houses have beautiful hardwood underneath that can be pulled up and roughed.
Right.
One of the early tricks she taught me when we was to pull up a little corner.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, there's hardwood.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
You know?
What are your thoughts, Art?
Well, the baby boomers we have about 78 million of us.
Oh, I know.
78 million. And the boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. And what we did as boomers, we did just opposite what our parents wanted us to do. We're the rebellious bunch. And we weren't the savers. We weren't and in fact, we refined the art of using credit cards and refinancing and things like that. And being a boomer, one of the oldest boomers, I can relate to that. And what we're starting to see, even though a lot of us boomers are in denial,
Oh,
that
yeah.
we're getting older.
Yep, it's real.
You know, I'm still 18. So
Hey, I'm 14.
The banks are actually seeing now the swing the other way on the credit card debt, as far as younger
Right.
people don't want anything to do with credit cards now.
Exactly.
I read a really interesting article last week about that.
Really?
So the pendulum's gone the other way. I guess that's why
Okay.
banks have to figure out other ways to.
So what the boomers are looking
Student loans.
what the boomers are looking right now, they're trying to play catch up.
But is it
They don't
too
have
late?
retirement. No, it isn't too late.
Okay, then.
It isn't too late.
Okay. How do you play catch up?
Well, first, I recommend. Can I give a little commercial here?
I'm here. We're here.
I used to teach Financial Peace University
Okay.
for Dave Ramsey,
Okay.
and teaches us how to get out of debt.
Well, debt is a killer.
Get out of the debt and get out of credit cards and so forth. And that's the first thing we need to change, some habit patterns that we've had in the past, and not wanting things instantaneously.
Right.
Then through that we can develop good savings habits and so forth, and later on we could possibly use, because we build up equity in our houses and so forth, possibly use a reverse mortgage for a way of helping us out in retirement.
What are your thoughts about that?
Absolutely agree. One of the largest problems seniors have is all their money's tied up in their house.
Yep.
And all the equity's there. And it's great. They don't have a monthly payment, but they have hundreds of thousands of dollars that they can't use. Going back to your previous your last question, as far as what's different with boomers, moving in itself is complicated enough. When you're a boomer and you're trying to figure out which direction you're going to go, I mean, you've got to worry about what your fixed income is going to be, your debt, as you previously mentioned, taxes, where you want to live. We have a meeting with someone this week, and the reason she's contemplating, she's like, none of my kids live here anymore. So she's going to have two of her sons in and talk to the other daughter, and one's in Michigan, one's in Indiana, one's in Nebraska. She wants to just figure out where she wants to live, and which child will be there to like really help her out.
Yeah.
She's lonely as can be, you know.
Yeah.
She has no family here.
Yeah.
If something happens, who's going to help her out, you know? So you have a lot more moving pieces going when you're making these decisions as a boomer, because you got to look more towards the future. So.
And toward health care.
Healthcare as well.
Because the
Exactly.
reality is that the body is not a machine, and you can't replace parts a lot of times.
And going from there, past family medical history, if something runs in your family, you know, and then that goes back to the real estate as far as changes you might want to make into your current house if you want to stay there.
Right.
Taking out the bathtub that you're going to need to start into a step-in shower, or you know, first floor masters are
Right.
really
No
important.
steps.
No steps.
No steps.
You know, making those kind of changes. So yeah.
What are your thoughts, Gloria?
Well, I have a friend that went through exactly this. She wasn't a friend when she moved, but she has become a friend. So
Okay.
she was a client, and her son, she and her son's family were both, the son was relocated to Cincinnati area.
Okay.
And she wanted to be close enough so that she could be around for the children's activities.
Right.
And then after 3 years, he got relocated.
Oh, wow.
So he was relocated to Atlanta, and she said, "I've lived in Atlanta. I don't want to move back to Atlanta." She had another son in the New York area, and
Okay.
they looked at adding on an addition to the house that he had, and realized that was going to be quite expensive, and she ended up settling in the Chicago area where her third son is.
Okay.
And she got a condo that was in really run down, you know, it was a very elderly person that had passed away.
Okay.
And she totally gutted the place. She got it for a very good price, totally gutted it, and is just happy as can be.
That is amazing, but that's such a good story.
Right.
Because she
Right.
was at least open to making a change.
Right. She wanted to stay here,
Yeah.
but she said, and she's in great shape.
Okay.
Healthy, walks, you know, but she said, I just have to be near family.
I couldn't agree with her more.
Right.
I really couldn't.
And we're seeing a lot now of high-end customers in the $600,000 and $700,000 price range who are downsizing to something in Cincinnati and then buying something else, a condo near their children, or a vacation spot.
Well, that's
So-
an answer. That's a good answer for people that can afford that.
Something. Our last two sales have actually been people that have moved to be closer to their grandchildren.
Right.
Move to this area.
Well,
because of
one moved back here from Utah,
Okay.
and the other one moved to Atlanta, Georgia area to be with their children or their grandchildren. And the boomers are spending more on their grandchildren than any other generation has.
Right.
Well, I'm a
So-
grandmother, and I'm telling
So you know,
right here.
Yes.
she knows
Yeah,
too.
I know. I'm like, oh
But yeah, I mean, people are moving specifically to be near their grandchildren.
That is wonderful.
yeah.
What about you? What are you thinking, Art?
Well, I've noticed another trend. There's a misconception or a myth that a lot of people will end up in skilled care communities. Other people call them nursing homes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's approximately only 5% of the people in the United States.
That are nursing homes.
Right.
Wow.
That is powerful. Let me say that again. Did you hear what Art just said? 5% of people are going into nursing homes. So, to my older viewers, why do you keep talking about going into a nursing home? Because that's not what's happening.
Now, sometimes they have to,
Sure.
rehab and so
Yeah.
forth. So, what has happened, the Home Builders Association has a designation
Oh,
called a Certified Aging in Place Specialist, where they can go into the existing home and retrofit it for as the people get older.
Yeah.
Because most people want to stay in their own home.
they surely do. That's where
Yeah.
your memories
As
are.
long as they
Yeah,
can.
As long as they can.
And I think that's very, very important. And that's one thing we learn as seniors real estate specialists. on
Yes.
How to understand where these people are coming from. I had a situation that isn't necessarily that far yet, but I talked to you earlier about it. Some people ended up getting a reverse mortgage.
Yes.
The man is 85.
Okay.
The wife is 75. And they said, well, we want to downsize. We've got a condo, and right now we really love it, but we need to downsize. And I found out that, well, the first thing we wanted to do a reverse mortgage or home equity conversion mortgage for purchase. And as we looked at homes, other condos, ranch homes and so forth like that, we found out that that wasn't the answer. So what we did is we sat down and I said, what you need to do, you can stay in your own home and use a reverse mortgage. And we set up a plan for their retirement. What had happened is they had a great retirement in 2000 until 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also the crash in 2008.
Yeah, with property.
So, but they kept the same spending habits. So we had to sit down and talk to them about that and set up a plan using a reverse mortgage to help them with their retirement.
Perfect.
And they're in their same home.
Perfect.
And that's tapping into the equity that they,
Exactly.
their largest
Right.
Because they had a
investment.
free and clear home, $250,000, free and clear home.
And I'm sure based upon their age and the value of the home, they probably qualified for tax-free about maybe 150,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
figuring.
Right.
150,000. You can do well on that.
right.
Well, between that and Social Security and
Yeah.
whatever pensions or IRA, I mean, you can
You can
you
make
can really
it.
you make it
You can
last.
make it.
Yes.
You can make it. That is a brilliant recommendation. I just wonder how many people would have backed up and looked at their circumstances and looked at opportunities. That's why, talk about that designation, because I didn't get it out right.
It's the seniors real estate specialist designation,
Okay.
not senior real estate specialist. I mean, like we're old people.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Be careful, Art.
Not I just noticed that I have gray hair. I don't know. And well, anyway, it's been around.
I like
since
being the baby here.
The latter part of 1997,
Okay.
and I got involved as an instructor. Well, first as a designee,
Okay.
then as an instructor since 1999.
My goodness. So you've
And so I've been
ushered
all
in-
over the country
Okay.
teaching it, and seen a lot of transitions
Okay.
happen over the years. And the one thing very interesting about it, when I always ask my students why they took the class, and it's different than any other class, because the people take it because they really care. Well, not that the other people don't care for the people, but primarily they're taking the seniors real estate specialist class because they're dealing with issues themselves, with their parents or themselves, and they want to know what to do, and they want to help other people out.
That's beautiful.
And secondarily, to make money from it.
That's very American.
So the people who take the seniors real estate specialist class, 99% of them have a passion to work with people.
Is that what motivated you as a
It's
younger
exactly
person?
what because when I first got in the business, we were dealing with a lot of my mother's former clientele. I was just working with a lot of seniors to begin with, and a lot of people were downsizing or moving to see their to be with their grandchildren or something. And it had been mostly who I had worked with. The people who I ended up bringing in on my own were usually first-time home buyers or younger people. But when working with them, you get to really realize how much assistance they need. A lot of times they're widow or widower, and they need maintenance people. They need, they need everything. They need guidance for every, and they need people who they can trust.
Important.
One of the biggest things that we've always done is keep a nice list of contacts as far as a plumber I can call right away, a landscaper of how many things go wrong, a gutter guy, a window, and unless we've used them or have used them with a tremendous amount of great feedback, we don't refer anyone because we're very protective of the people that we work with. That goes into why I got into it, is because after working with them, they're so nice, and but you're like, you're like, no, I'm going to protect you,
And then we check back to make sure that the contractor that they used did a good job.
That's so important today because I've seen a change in just the mindset of so many people that provide services. And I still say the best services are going to be garnered through referrals.
I agree.
And so that's an added benefit of working with you as a senior specialist, because you would have those networks and those contacts to help them, because a widow or a widower even, because a lot of men don't know how to fix stuff either. God, it's not personal. They don't know how to fix anything. But
give me a wrench, I'll break something.
Give me a wrench, I'll break something. Let me remember that. That's a good one. But that's very, very insightful. So your motivation as a younger person was because you kept interfacing with older clients versus your younger
and I have seen instances when I was doing finance in Florida. A couple came in that we were doing a refinance for, and they were also buying a car. And the sales guy was, let's put this way, the financing plan wasn't real nice.
No.
So I helped them fix that before they signed anything. And investment people trying to get someone into an annuity when they shouldn't be in an annuity. I just wish that, if I wasn't around, she would have someone help her.
Because they don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't know. Plus, they've lived in their house for 15 years, so there's a lot of things that they haven't had to worry about.
Well, that's why, as I shared with you in the green room, that's why I do this show.
Yeah.
Because people don't know.
Yep.
And if we can give them hope, as well as people they can connect with, then I think that's doing a very good service.
Absolutely.
It's an honorable service. So I had a query yesterday. A woman asked me directly. She said, well, what's in this for you? And I said, after 30 years of doing this, I can tell you what's in it for me is that it's a joy. It's a joy. And I get deep satisfaction in knowing that people are being helped. And that to me is just very, very important today, because so many people are just getting messed over.
They really are.
There's a lot of predators out there.
It is a lot of predators out there. It really, really is.
From fake tax return scam or IRS scams to,
like, come on, stop it.
They're trying everything.
And it's just so many people out here. So what has been the most satisfying thing you have done with all these years behind you, Art? What has been the most satisfying aspect of being a realtor?
Well, I look at it a little bit differently than most seniors real estate specialists.
Okay.
because I teach the course.
Okay.
And I've helped a lot of seniors out,
Okay.
uh, buying and selling houses and so forth, or helping them with reverse mortgages. But the most satisfying thing for me is teaching the other realtors how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And what the difference is, then, I mean, most people say, well, what's the difference in working with people who are older than anybody else?
That's a good question.
And they don't know. And in fact, the first part of the class, we spend a lot of time talking about differences in generations and how to have empathy for these people, understand what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting for me to see the sparkle in their eyes when they catch it.
That's satisfying.
And it is. And I've had the blessing of I've been told I've taught more seniors real estate specialist class than anybody in the nation.
Okay.
And
Well, you're highly regarded.
trained over thousands of seniors real estate specialists. We now have about 15,000 of us total. And that's so small, though, compared to the 1.2 million realtors that we have.
Wow.
So we still need to get the word out.
I agree.
So, but
I agree.
it's exciting for me to see people get involved, and then they call me, what do we do? And they have this passion, and they've turned their whole career around, like I did, to help other people. When I was first approached about the senior, I was training director of a company,
Okay.
and that was in 1999. The relocation people contacted me and said, hey, have you ever heard of this seniors real estate specialist designation? I said, I've seen some ads, I know nothing about it. He says, well, we need to check on that for our agents. I said, I'll do it. So I called the owner of it. In California at the
Okay.
time, it was privately owned.
Okay.
Now it's owned by the National Association of Realtors.
Oh, is it? Oh my goodness. Okay.
And the only way to take it, we didn't have online stuff or anything. We had a correspondence course.
Okay.
Paid $399 for it.
Ouch.
And I got a book.
Okay.
And then I had to take a test. Well, I spent 2 days doing that, and I really got into it and saw I realized what was happening to my mother. My dad had passed away in '94. I realized what was happening to my father-in-law. My mother-in-law had passed away in '97. She had Alzheimer's. And saw the changes that they were going through, and I said, this is something that I could, in fact, I changed my whole career because of it.
That's powerful.
And
That's
I
powerful.
spent the bulk of 10 years, the next 10 years, teaching all over the country.
My goodness. Now you took yours online,
Yes.
and what was the difference? I mean, I guess you didn't have the benefit of a live instructor.
I mean, it was video.
Okay.
So
Oh, it was video.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
video, and you had to test requirements. You had to hit certain test requirements, or you would have to take it over again. Luckily, I didn't have to do that. But,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I put the same type of time in. It's you can't blow through it. People think that because you take a course online or something, you can just hit click, 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 and be done. And it doesn't allow anything like that. And it does bring up a lot of different, like you were talking about communication. My first time home buyers who are younger, they want to text everything.
Yes.
All right. Well, I would never do that with a boomer. They're, well, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Unless they want to do it that way.
Okay.
Now, if they want to communicate that way, I'll communicate however.
Exactly.
I mean, we have the phone, the email, the text. I mean, there's so many different ways.
Right.
I always go with what they're most comfortable with.
Okay.
I don't like to do all like texting. I think you lose a certain amount of something,
I'm
especially if
encouraged
it's.
to hear you say that because
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, texting is like,
Well, yeah.
it's just like something very quick.
Yeah, I think you're gonna lose something, especially if it's an important discussion you gotta have regarding something, maybe part of the transaction or something along those lines. But yeah, it breaks down the generations and how they prefer to communicate. And my first thing is I never treat everyone the same, and then
Right.
let them dictate how you want to communicate. So.
Okay. What about you, Gloria? Do you find that there are significant differences in terms of age spans for the older versus the very old, the elderly, which are people over 80? And then you have your seniors, which are people 60 to 80. And then you have your young seniors, which are 50 to 60. Do you find, in terms of communication flow, those groups are differing? Or
There's quite a bit of difference in the generation span. But I'm kind of at a spot where I kind of spread myself across that, and when things get too technological, then
you talk to your
Jeff takes over.
I can tell by the way she uses my name. I'm like, oh.
He says he can tell by the way I walk up to him with my iPhone if it's going to be a 10-minute problem or a 20-minute problem or.
Right. And her other line is paper. I need paper. I need to feel it, touch it, see it.
I'm
You know,
with
it's
you,
like
Gloria.
I'm the same way.
because I'll be like, it's
Okay.
right here.
Yes,
She's like, I need paper.
Yes, I was talking with a friend and I said, I guess I just don't get it.
No, it's part of the memory process.
I think it is.
When you write it down,
I retain it.
I mean,
Yes.
and we have that. I'll get an email, and I'll just forward her the email. Well, she wants to see it, sometimes, or.
and I get it, and I've read
I mean,
it,
if it's just a
I
quick
have to
note,
answer it
fine.
too.
But if it's maybe an attachment with a schedule or something, she's like, print that out. I need to
I
see
need
it.
to
Yeah.
touch, feel, and I
Okay.
think those are significant in
Yeah.
terms of interfacing with older clients as well, versus your young ones who do all communication with each
Yes.
other in the same room, texting. I mean, that
agree.
is so unbelievable.
And it goes to the transaction as well. I mean, we have online signatures, but some people will be fine with it. And some people are like, I want to write. It's like, I want to,
Exactly.
okay, and
Exactly.
we can do the paper
Exactly.
contract too.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll work for however you want to do things.
Well, I'm sure you already know that this demographic shift, and that's why I have you all on today, is the largest in U.S. history.
Right.
Period. There is nothing quite to compare with the large numbers of people that are coming out of the workplace,
Yeah.
most permanently, hopefully, for the next 20 years.
Yes.
And I do believe that there's going to be a major impact, just like there was a major impact when we were younger. Hot pants and everything else, the war in Vietnam and everything. I mean, yeah, we were all there. We were, and I believe it's going to be an impact on this group as well. So are you to educate this group of people? Have any of the three of you done seminars, or how do people learn more about what you bring to the table?
I do.
Okay.
When I first took the senior, I actually had to take a real seniors real estate specialist class.
Okay.
I went to Miami, Florida. It was tough, but I had to go to Miami.
I'm so sorry.
To see the seniors in
Probably
the
in
beach setting.
February.
Right.
Yeah, probably in
Yeah.
February.
And it was given by the founder of the organization.
yeah.
and so we became great friends. And but what I discovered when I left that class, I said, "Who is trying to reach the same people I'm trying to reach? Who's not in competition with me?"
Right.
And those were the independent and assisted living communities.
Huh.
So I developed a database of independent and assisted living communities and contacted all those people and offered them a free downsizing seminar for people thinking of moving into their community. I call it the upside of downsizing.
The upside of downsizing. And how was the response?
It was phenomenal. And the neat thing about it, you see all ages in there, and you'll see the children in there too listening.
Yeah.
But there would be people in the class, or the talk that I gave, who'd been in their home for 40, 50, or 60 years.
Ooh, wee.
Yep.
And as we know in the real estate industry, our industry has changed, and when we walk in with a big folder about this thick,
Yeah, their eyes
with
kind
all
of
these different disclosures, they don't understand that.
because when they bought it, it was that
Because,
thick.
well, when I first got in the real estate business, it was done on a handshake.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm not that old though.
Okay.
We had
okay.
this stuff called carbon paper, but some people don't know what that is.
Okay.
So,
I know a carbon.
that I do seminars for people like that, and it's and if they decide to sell their home through me, fine. If not, that's fine too. But I give them ideas on how to prepare their home to sell, how to downsize or get rid of extra
Yeah.
Treasures?
the
That's-
accumulated.
Treasures.
Yeah,
That's one
we'll
of the
call 'em
biggest
treasures.
things
Okay,
that.
what was that? What was
Wouldn't you
that?
agree? That's, I mean, when I talk to people, it's one of the biggest things that they can't wrap their mind around. What am I going
Right.
to do with all my stuff, you know?
And there are now companies to
Oh,
work with that,
oh,
transitional companies.
Yeah, I
There's
know-
online
I'm familiar with
auctions,
some,
and
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well, I still believe that's probably hard.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
very difficult.
yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest steps.
Uh-huh.
We did a presentation last week at a retirement community
Okay.
in Kenwood, and at the end, the one man said, "Where do I start?" I mean, it was us as realtors. It was a financial planner.
Okay.
It was an estate planner,
Okay.
and it was
An online auction.
online
Okay,
auction,
okay.
and
ABTH.
another service that takes you all the way through.
Transition service.
Okay,
Transition
yeah,
service. And it was informative for us as well, but
I'm sure.
to look on many of these faces, I mean, they were just bewildered. Where do you start? And one gentleman asked, he said, "How many of you will be moving in the next 2 months?" And one couple raised their hand, and then he said 6 months, and a few more. And but you could see, I mean, it was just pressure whether to raise their hand or not. I mean, it's just such a big deal. And there was a couple in there that had been in their house for 60 years.
Oh, wow.
They did 40, and there were some 40s and 50s,
Oh
and
my
then
goodness.
one couple, 60 years old. I mean, 60 years they'd
years
been in the
of-
house. Yeah.
Several friends came together, and then there was one gal that was there with her mother,
Okay.
and so it was very informative for us as well as for them. So,
I'm sure.
but it's a planning. I mean, it's
Right.
and educating, because like you said, when these people bought their houses, they might have bought it on a handshake, and now with the mountains of market analysis materials that we provide, so that we're sure we're getting them the top dollar for their house, and then when they get to closing, I mean, it's just overwhelming.
And then
It
on
really
top of
is.
that, you have to look at the current market, which is we're in a 17-year low in inventory.
Right.
So I'm to the point now, usually people are more worried about selling before they buy. You almost need to figure out where you're going to go before you list the property, at least for now. And that people of all generations are doing that. Now
Right.
they're buying before they sell. I mean, if they can financially.
Well, it seems to me that, at least from all indications, that we're coming to an end to that.
Yeah,
That
Right.
things are getting ready to shift.
slow up
back.
a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is probably a good thing, because we don't want things to repeat from
Right.
2008.
Right.
We don't. What were your thoughts on
Well, a question I've been always asked, and you've been asked this too. When is the best time to move?
When is the
And
best
the best
time to
to
move?
move is before you have to.
Yeah.
Before you have to.
Yep.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when you get to the point where you're getting critically ill, or even just stumbling around like I do, but I'm not that old.
You are
But anyway.
such a cynic. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway.
Rather than have that pressure of having to move like this, you can take your time. So,
Right.
It's stressful enough.
But there's
without-
the trauma, like you were saying, 40, 50, 60 years in the house.
Oof.
I remember a lady that went over to list a house.
Mm-hmm.
She was 84 years old.
84. Okay. Still living independently.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Her son was there. He was 55 to help her out. And I was thinking, this is before I knew how to work with seniors.
Okay.
And I thought this would be a slam dunk. Get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got a contract in 3 days.
Okay.
Full price, cash,
Easy.
possession 60 days after the close.
Did your
all
job.
this
Done.
stuff. I
Right?
mean, this is a slam dunk. It took 2 hours to present it. The reason being, we were sitting in the family room area,
Okay.
or dining room area, right off the family room. And I remember her now, I learned a lot from this. As I was presenting this, she wasn't paying too much attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
She was looking around the house,
Mm.
having memories.
Mm.
And then I also realized her 55-year-old's handprints as a child were in the sidewalk up front.
Mm.
Oh.
And she's thinking, I'm moving into an assisted living community and I'm going to die.
Mm.
Well, it's also been discovered when they move into independent assisted living communities, their lifespan increases.
Mm. So it's a good thing.
Right.
Okay.
When people used to retire at age 62 to 65,
Mm-hmm.
guess how long their lifespan was normally after that?
Not long.
3 years.
Yeah.
Because they had nothing to look forward
Right.
to.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're more active. And my mother lived to be 92 years old.
Well, good for her.
And she went into independent living, then into assisted living, then into skilled care.
Mm-hmm.
But she lived a full life, and she was there for 15 years.
That is beautiful. That is such a beautiful testimony.
And I remember one time I went out to visit. She was in Arizona, and she moved back. We were driving around, and then we came back into the community. It was a continuing care
Right.
retirement community. It has all different
Levels. Yeah.
levels.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, you know, this is terrific.
Wow.
I have a peace of mind that I know that I'm going to live here the rest of my life.
Mm. That is wonderful.
Give her the peace of mind.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Gloria, about that?
Well, that's a wonderful story. And yes, when you see people that you know have almost outlived the utilitarian part of their house
Mm-hmm.
because they can't do the steps any longer, you know, we try and help them adapt and the reverse mortgage but we try and help them adapt the house as much as possible. But sometimes you just can't. So
Right.
so it is much better to make a move when you're healthy and can set down new roots than when you're in bad shape. And it's far better. Far better.
Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly those steps.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really, 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 as I've grown older, and I got a bunch of steps where I live, and I detest.
Uh-huh.
I truly, when you're younger, but when you're older, trying to do steps, it's just not pretty.
Yep.
And I think that,
Well, the other thing,
Yeah.
even if you have a first floor master, then you'll see a house with a laundry room in the basement.
right.
Well, that's the worst because then you got your arms full as you're going down. You know, you want the laundry room on the
Yeah.
first floor too.
Right.
I mean, things
And I
a
just-
lot of people don't think of until
See,
they have a
that's
bad
why
knee.
I'm saying that I really feel the good thing for your industry is that you have people that are trained, that know these things. Because believe me, many seniors, including our baby, they don't have a clue.
Right.
The denial that we're in will come to an end.
And
When
it could be
you-
something as simple as getting rid of some throw rugs because
Oh my God, scatter
they're the
rocks.
worst.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the worst. Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah,
boom,
or
up
if,
in the
if they do
air.
have to temporarily use a walker, then the walker's getting caught in.
Right,
You know,
right.
it could be just something simple as that.
Right.
It doesn't have to be remodeling a bathroom into a walk-in shower or something. You know.
Although it would be nice.
But they're great too.
Yes,
You know.
it would be nice. It would be nice.
But you got to do a little of each. you
That's
know?
something.
So yeah, something to consider.
Yeah, and again, without knowing they're out here,
Yeah.
and that's why I think it's so important that you all share your perspective in terms of this emerging group, because I'm telling you, 78 million people is a lot of people,
A lot of people.
Yes.
and they are walking out of employment situations with no clue. I don't care how smart they were in corporate America. When you are out here on your own, and those relationships have come to an end because people really don't want you coming back to your job
Yeah.
that they hate, looking at you free, and trying to build a new life, really not adequately equipped to know what I need to do and how I need to do it. And like I said, God forbid you get sick or hurt yourself or run into chronic illness conditions, which is again a part of growing older.
Right.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, prostate, all these things are all a part of aging. We like to think we're not so, but it is so. And now Alzheimer,
Yeah.
you think you've got everything beat, and daggone it, you got Alzheimer. You don't even know whether you're coming or going. Those things are challenging. Those things are challenging. So give me, in your bucket list, Mr. Reed, what is the first thing a person needs to know if they're getting ready to retire and they have a home? What's the first thing you want to recommend?
Well, the first thing I'd recommend that they really analyze whether they want to stay exactly where they are.
Okay, for the balance of their life.
Right. Statistics, which I didn't believe this, and I actually taught it, but I didn't believe it. I teach stuff I don't believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't my favorite in college either, statistics.
People are looking for their last home. Start looking for their last home around age 60.
Okay.
And guess when my wife and I bought what we think is our last home, with no steps, first floor
Yeah.
master, first floor laundry. I was 60.
Really?
I didn't believe it until I looked at myself.
Okay.
And I'm 70 now,
Okay.
so we have that. So and if they want to stay there, look at, like we've been talking about, the aging in place, to retrofit things for later on. It's also known partially as universal design. It's for all different ages, like levers on doors and things like that. And look to the future.
Right.
I had a wake-up call.
You want to tell us that? Are you comfortable?
I'm comfortable.
Okay, tell us.
I'm the standard boomer. I was invincible, right? Well, 6 years ago, August 17th, 2010, I wasn't feeling well, and my wife took me to the emergency room. And anyway, being the normal man, I didn't go to the doctor.
Okay.
So they found out I was bleeding internally. And being the normal man, I didn't have a colonoscopy when I was supposed to. Supposed to have one when you're 50. I waited until I was 64. In fact, that day, the next day,
Wow.
and they found colon and kidney cancer.
Ooh.
I'm okay now. I've been through chemotherapy and all this, a lot of different, 6 surgeries in 2 years. I'm okay. I'm in great shape. Well, not this, but anyway. But it was a wake-up call.
I'm sure.
And I was in denial before, because I thought I'd live forever.
Mm-hmm.
So
There you are.
it's very important.
There you are.
I hope people don't do what I did. I hope that they take good care of themselves, and I hope they do the testing and so forth.
Well,
But I hope nobody else has those wake-up calls, but they did.
well, I think most people, as morticians can tell you, most people don't expect to be out of here. And therefore, they don't plan as if they have a finite
Right.
ending. And they put things off, and they delay, and they procrastinate. But the reality is that as you get older, if you do not plan, it does not stop the plan from executing.
That's right.
It-
It's
it
going to
does-
keep
it's-
ticking
It's
on.
going to keep ticking on.
Right.
So
Gloria,
you need
right.
to have your clock wound so you're in step.
Right.
You just got to be prepared.
You definitely do.
A little
And
forethought
that's
into
what
it.
you guys bring to the table, is that sensitivity and awareness. And I tell you, Art, you are a miracle, because I know far too many people personally that did not make it through what you made it through.
I know a lot of people who were
Not
diagnosed the same time I was,
And dead.
who are no longer
Yeah,
here.
they're not here.
And
They
I'm a
transited.
walking miracle, and I can
Yes, you are.
thank prayers, thousands of people praying for me.
Yes, yes, yes.
For that.
Beautiful, beautiful story. And
Yeah.
you've lived through your husband's death.
Yes, he passed
Yeah.
4 years ago.
I remember.
They feel it was from Agent Orange, from when he was in
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Oh my goodness.
The VA, however, is not forthcoming in any way, and but that's okay. And I had a knee replacement
Yeah.
in February, and I moved about 62.
Yep. I was about to say when he said that. That was about the time
I
you guys.
still don't believe it.
That was about the time you downsized. Yeah.
And I had a knee replacement in February, and there are only 2 steps into my house.
Okay.
It's a ranch. My laundry's
Yeah.
on the first floor.
Okay, it's working.
Perfect.
But that was still a challenge. 2 steps. So, but it was a whole lot less of a challenge than if I had 14 steps.
Oh my God.
To go to a
Yeah,
bedroom.
yeah.
So,
That was
Right.
just
so
impossible.
14 would have been able.
I'll
would have been
plead with
feasible.
anybody that has steps, and I keep hearing people say, "Oh, that's my cardiovascular exercise." Well, that's fine as long as your legs are
As
working.
long as you have 2 knees.
Yeah, as
Two
long as you
knees.
have 2 knees.
But get things in order. That's the most important thing I
Right.
can say, is get things in order. And when you're working with people, check them out. Make sure that they really care about you in your transition, because not everybody is there to help you. They're there. So a lot of people are there for themselves.
Oh my God.
And for the money.
And for
Just
the
to
money.
make some quick
Yeah.
money.
We have to cut this. I want to give your phone. I want phone numbers,
Sure.
and where people can contact you. All of you. You're licensed in Kentucky.
I'm licensed in Kentucky. I'm with Huff Realty,
Okay, what's your phone number?
859-240-7705. And that's my cell phone number,
Okay.
so they can
Okay.
reach me.
We're the Cook team at Comey and Shepherd. We're licensed in Ohio, and you can contact us at 513-284-6111.
Well, folks, there you have it. Time's up. Wasn't this a great show? Take care of your business, take care of your families, and most importantly, take care of yourself. Aging is going to happen if you're alive. You can't deny the facts. It's going to happen. But how you do it, now that's your choice. And hopefully the information that's been given today will allow you to make good, solid decisions about realtors, about choices. Look for a realtor that is a seniors real estate specialist who has put in the time and the resources to understanding aging and the process of real estate selling to that market. Powerful, powerful information. And as always, you know how to reach me. Contact your local station. Just ask them for the money lady. They know me. Better know me. In closing out today's session, my name's Michelle Graves, and as always, I wish you love, peace, and joy, and God bless you. See you next time.